One way we know it's Lent is sometimes those long Gospels remind us of the suffering that Lent asks us to do sometimes. In our Gospel reading, we see Jesus interacting with this sinful woman. As we see other places in the Scriptures, Jesus, his ability to interact with sinners, and also, of course, his ability to interact with very holy people. That's how we know that he is God, that he can do that well and perfectly, knowing how to interact with very sinful people, even interacting in almost quasi-scandalous situations or what could be, but of course maintaining his holiness, maintaining his godliness, and of course again his ability, his ability to interact with holy people, his good friends. Of course, this situation, there could have been some scare of some scandal or some accusation of what is he doing with this particular woman. But as Jesus Christ, we have nothing to fear, that he is God and he is a holy man and godly man. He's willing to, of course, confront this woman in her sins, his truthfulness, but of course he's also willing to be very compassionate with her. And that's another thing God does perfectly, that we as human beings struggle with, to how to be completely honest with someone and at the same time be compassionate with that person. I think only God himself knows how to do that perfectly. But still, we have to strive to do that even in our limited ways, helping people on their journey. This woman, as it mentions here, with 5 husbands, or as Jesus brings up to her or reminds her, she was probably a well-known woman for that reason, sad to say. We might have all of us could probably come up with theories as to what people were saying about this woman who had 5 husbands and currently living with a man who's not her husband. Again, we could come up with all types of reasons and stories as to what might led to that kind of situation. Therefore, her conversion was even a greater stir and story for the town. They were probably already talking about her, and now she comes back from the well talking and saying that the Messiah has come. I'm sure people would have been even more in discussion about a woman of this type having now said she's met Jesus at the well. But as we see the story unfold, she does become a very effective evangelizer, one who's spreading the gospel and teaching and bringing others to conversion. The person we might say we least expected to be the great preacher, and she becomes that for that town. We also see at the end there, they say, we no longer believe because of what you're telling us, but we now believe because we've heard and seen for ourselves. And so a challenge, a reminder to all of us as we hear and see other people's conversion stories, whether simple or big, and those stories can be interesting and, of course, get us all talking about other people and their spiritual lives. And sometimes that's good and healthy to be having those discussions. But ultimately, after all those discussions have been had, we personally need to have our conversion experience, and we need to be concerned about our personal relationship with Jesus Christ. We could say during this Lenten season that each of us are called to that well, that living water with Jesus, to go out to that well and have that one-on-one discussion with Jesus Christ. As that woman went out there to meet Jesus and discuss her life with him, to discuss this living water and to discuss the truth of the matter with Jesus. Again, each of us should go out one-on-one and discuss our lives with Jesus, evaluate it, change what needs to be changed, and then go back to town and tell people about this Jesus that we have met. As speaking of our one-on-one experience with Jesus and the truth of our sins, of course we could easily say or relate that to the sacrament of confession. And so during this Lenten season, a good time for us, again, as we perhaps think of it as our experience with Jesus at the well, that confession experience that woman had. All of us have that opportunity with the sacrament of confession. I also think it's good for us during Lent or throughout the year when we're thinking about, I should really go to confession.